Welcome OPALS users. This tutorial will cover the Inventory module in order to conduct an inventory of your library's holdings. I would first like to point out that our help pages have a nice section on the Inventory module. Please see our help pages at help.opalsinfo.net. Here we see the main screen of the OPALS help pages. An inventory can be found under the Tools menu. You will see Inventory Guide. The Guide features sections on scanning, inventory lists and reports, and the inventory session. I recommend that you have a look at these and/or contact our tech support via email or phone, and we can assist or send additional help docs as needed. Here we see the data collection without tricoder. Please note that tricoders are small handheld scanners, not wireless, to collect barcodes. Years ago, library systems used these quite a bit, but with the cost of laptops dropping, the tricoders are not used too often these days as they are quite expensive. Plugging your scanner into a laptop works quite well. You can place the laptop on a book truck and wheel it around as you scan your items, running the laptop on the battery. For this tutorial, I will use Notepad, i.e. Windows Notepad, as the tool for scanning barcodes into files. Please also note that this tutorial will perform an inventory on just one section of the library. I suggest you do the same, as you will get the hang of the process in just about 10 minutes. Please also see if you have Chromebook or Macs options, instead of using Notepad, options for your machines to create simple text files. These are listed in our instructions on scanning on our help pages. For PC users, Notepad is found with the Windows accessories. I would suggest that you move it out to your desktop for easy access. I would also recommend that you create a folder to store your scanned files. I have a folder titled Inventory Spring 2018. Name your scanned files such as 100s, or if you do a few call number ranges, 100 through 400s, or DVDs, Ref, Professional, etc. Here is a notepad in my folder containing the scanned barcode files. On your OPALS home screen, go to the Administration tab and choose Inventory. This question is always asked: what if books are out on loan? If books are out on loan, it is not an issue, as they are accounted for. So you scan a section, there may be a few of the 100s that I had that were out on loan, not on the shelves, and the students or users of the library still have the books in their possession. These are accounted for and will not be marked missing or lost, as they are currently checked out to users. Another point: if you're doing an inventory and books are coming in, you want to make sure that you either check them in and scan them and add that file to the inventory as a session or as the entire inventory, or leave them be as checked out until you're finished. If the books come in and they're in a book drop and you don't check them in, they're still accounted for. So make sure you follow this process accordingly. If you're going to check the books in and receive them, make sure you scan those books into a file to be processed. Or leave them in the book drop, or don't check them in, just leave them on book trucks, and they still will be accounted for by the inventory process. Once you have opened inventory, you may see files from past inventories. Most of these will be closed, and you can review them to a certain extent. However, if you have a past inventory that had not been closed for whatever reason, you will have to close this older inventory before starting a new one. Please note that typically if there is an inventory that had not been closed, it was done some time ago, maybe a year ago, maybe months ago, and these files are out of date and not worth saving. So I would highly suggest close the inventory and then start your new inventory. Any files from months ago, a year ago, are not worth saving, and they don't reflect your collection in its current state. Choose New Inventory. The inventory screen will open and we can begin. For this tutorial, I'm doing a section, just the 100s, so I will choose by range and enter in my range for the 100s, 100.000 to 199.999. Looking at the left side of the screen, choose what media type you will be processing. For this session, I am simply doing the 100s in books only, not the journals, DVDs, sheet music, etc. I will place a check mark next to book and uncheck any others that could have been checked prior. On the right side of the screen, I will choose G, as my books are in the item type defined as G. You may have named your item types different, such as books, DVD, ref, pro, etc. As I am only doing books and they are in item type G, I will only have a check mark next to G item type. If my file of scanned barcodes also contained reference items in the 100s, I would put a check mark for this item type as well. But in this case, I'm simply putting a check mark next to G. Now that we have defined our MARC media format types and item types, we can upload the scanned barcodes. You will see Add Barcodes from File. Before I go on, I would like to note that while it does work, I would not suggest scanning in your barcodes live. You see the option to scan in barcodes manually. This can be done, but if anything goes wrong, a power outage, etc., you could lose your work. I strongly recommend scanning into files as noted above. This way you have them saved and can reprocess the files as needed. My range has been defined, my media type is chosen, books, and my item type G has been chosen. Now going down the screen a bit towards the center, I will load my scanned barcodes of the 100s. I will choose Browse, go to my folder with the scanned barcodes, choose the 100s file, then click Add to the right to add the barcodes to this inventory session. Once loaded, you will see that the barcodes populate to the right of the screen, and in the center of the screen towards the bottom, the system tells me how many barcodes have been loaded at this point. I see the name of the file, the upload date, and the count of barcodes. I have 87 barcodes added to this session and can now process the file by clicking Do Inventory directly below the count number. Once you press Do Inventory, you will get results of the session, i.e. the files you have just uploaded, in this case the books in the 100s. The results of my session show the following: 9 missing, not scanned, 1 item that had previously been marked as damaged has been scanned. This item must be on the shelves as I have scanned it. By clicking the View Edit, I can look at the information screen, determine where the book is by looking at the section called Call Number Previous To. Go to the shelves, find this call number, and the book to the right should be the item marked damaged. You can change the status manually by going to the item status record using the barcode, or simply click Mark Selected as Available. Most libraries take a look at the item in status before marking is available, just to make sure they see if there's a pattern, etc. We see that 8 were scanned but had been marked lost or missing. They seem to be back in your library and on the shelves as you have scanned these. You can change the status collectively by opening the View Edit, or print the list and work on them individually at the circ desk. Finally, we have 3 loaned but on the shelves. These items somehow got shelved without being checked in at the circ desk. You have options to return them all, or print the list and return them at the circ desk for a better view of who had them. Perhaps you'll notice a pattern of a student or a user of the library not going to the circ desk but shelving books on their own, trying to help you out. Taking a look at the missing not scanned, we see the following options. You can mark selected items as missing, mark all of them as missing, remove items from the missing list. For example, perhaps they are in the back room of the library and you know these titles. Or finally, you can print selected or print all. You can print the missing items out and check the shelves to make sure you did not miss an area, check other places in the library that you may store items, etc. Finally, a quick review. Scan your barcodes into a simple text format using Notepad or an appropriate tool as spelled out on our help pages under Scanning, depending on your operating system. Create a folder for your scanned items on your desktop. This is a great idea as you will have a backup and can access the files to process easily. Any old or past inventories that had not been closed will need to be closed prior to new inventory. Just remember that if you're working in teams and processing at different times, you might want to make sure and check the dates of the inventory so you don't delete a colleague's work that was done yesterday or close the inventory. So you can check with your colleagues if you're doing work separately as you're running through the collection. But if you find an inventory that's months old or a year old, there's no harm in closing it because it's not relevant to the collection at this time. Open up Inventory, choose by range or the entire collection. I have always done sections as the reports are smaller and I can finalize the inventory for each section without a massive amount of data to be checked and looked at. Doing an entire collection is completely fine, and some prefer to do the entire collection. It's really a personal preference decision. Upload your files and process them by choosing Do Inventory. You will have results and can deal with each section to finalize your work. When done, close the inventory session so as to ready for the next session to be processed, or down the road a piece, an entire collection being done again in another inventory session. Finally, this question is always asked: what if books are out on loan? If books are out on loan, it is not an issue, as they are accounted for. So you scan a section, there may be a few of the 100s that I had that were out on loan, not on the shelves, and the students or users of the library still have the books in their possession. These are accounted for and will not be marked missing or lost, as they are currently checked out to users. Another point: if you're doing an inventory and books are coming in, you want to make sure that you either check them in and scan them and add that file to the inventory as a session or as the entire inventory, or leave them be as checked out until you're finished. If the books come in and they're in a book drop and you don't check them in, they're still accounted for. So make sure you follow this process accordingly. If you're going to check the books in and receive them, make sure you scan those books into a file to be processed. Or leave them in the book drop, or don't check them in, just leave them on book trucks, and they still will be accounted for by the inventory process. In closing, I would like to thank the Lake Placid Middle High School for providing their OPALS site to record this tutorial. All the best, and please do not hesitate to contact us for further assistance.